Hello everyone, my name is Varun Mitra and welcome to the video. In this particular lesson, we are going to talk about installing Dispatcher on Apache running on a Windows machine. After completing this training, you should be able to explain how to install Dispatcher on Apache. Installing Dispatcher on Apache running on a Windows machine is pretty straightforward. All you need to do is download and extract the latest Dispatcher build, modify Apache's configuration file, modify dispatcher.ini and simply restart Apache. That should get Dispatcher up and running at your end. So now let's just quickly go ahead and see how you can plug in the Dispatcher module within your Apache web server. So this is my Apache web server which I configured in the earlier video. It is right now running on port number 81. I've also started my published server. The next thing which you need to do is you need to download the latest Dispatcher build. You can do that by going to this particular URL and finding out the Dispatcher build suitable for your operating system. So I've downloaded the one that is meant for Windows. I've downloaded it and stored it on my desktop and extracted it right over here. So this particular zip file, it contains a DLL file which is my Dispatcher module that will plug into my Apache web server. It contains a dispatcher.ini which is the dispatcher configuration file, and it contains an httpd.conf file which is a sample file which will allow me to configure my Apache web server. Once you have extracted the zip file, what you need to do is you need to go to your Apache installation directory which is there in your program files, and you need to open up the conf directory in here. Within this conf directory you will have an httpd.conf file. I'm going to open up the original file right over here, and I'm going to also open up the sample file that is available to me within the zip file. So this is the sample file that I have got. From this sample file, I will simply copy the settings onto my original file. The first setting that you need to copy involves loading up your Dispatcher module. So what I need to do is I need to copy this load module section available at line number 234. What this will do is this will load up my Dispatcher module next time my Apache web server is started up. So I can simply copy line number 234 and paste it somewhere within my httpd.conf file. I'm going to do this at line number 127 where the load module section within my original file ends. You can also paste it somewhere in between, but I'm going to paste it at the end for my own convenience. Within this load module, what I've done is I've specified a directory and the name of my Dispatcher module. My Dispatcher module is actually a DLL file, so I need to make that change over there. So I need to take the name of this DLL file and I need to provide it right over here. Once I've done this change, what will happen is next time my server starts up, my Dispatcher module would be loaded up. The next change which I need to do is I need to specify some Dispatcher level settings as well. They are defined within this if module that is available to me from line number 236 to line number 284. I'm going to simply copy this and paste it within my original file. Keep this in mind, do not put this if module that you have copied from the sample file within an already existing if module. So this should be a standalone if module that you have provided or pasted within your original file. This if module defines some Dispatcher level settings like where my dispatcher.ini file is stored. If you plan on keeping your dispatcher.ini at a different location, you might want to provide it over here. You can also specify dispatcher.log or the place where dispatcher.log would be generated. You can also specify a log level. I'm going to specify debug as the log level over here. Since we are doing this for the first time and there could be errors, it makes more sense to set the log level to debug. The next change that you can do is set Dispatcher no server header directive. What this will do is this will prevent Dispatcher from processing any of your HTTP headers. So if this is set to on, your Dispatcher will stop processing any of your HTTP headers and they would be sent on directly to your AEM server. Then comes Dispatcher decline route. By default, it is set to off. If you set it to on, all of the requests coming to your root path like localhost 4503/ would be automatically denied. This setting normally does not have any effect on Apache. It is meant to work perfectly fine on an IIS web server. Then comes Dispatcher use process URL. This need to be turned on in case you are using mod rewrite module within your Apache web server. That is, if you are already pre-processing your URLs before they hit your Dispatcher. Then comes Dispatcher pass error. It is right now set to 0. This means that my AEM server will handle all of the errors. If you set it to 1, then your Apache web server error handler would be used. Dispatcher keep alive timeout is used to specify the time interval during which your request would be kept alive. Right now it has been commented out, however you can set a timeout right over here. The next thing which I need to do is I need to specify a directory module which will set my default handler as the dispatcher handler. This will override the Apache's handler and this will use dispatcher for any incoming request. So I can just copy this directory module that is available to me directly underneath this document root directive at line number 370. I can just copy it and I can paste it within my original file. I can just paste it right over here. As you can see, it sets the handler as dispatcher-handler. So what this will do is this will override the Apache's default handler, and now on your dispatcher would be used for handling any request coming to the Apache web server. At this point, you should also observe that document root and directory module underneath it have the same path associated with them. If these paths differ, then your Apache web server might not start up. Also, this document root should exactly match the doc root or the cache doc root directive that is defined within dispatcher.ini. If they do not match, you will run into different troubles when it will come to caching your GET request. I'm going to quickly save my changes. My work here is not yet done. I need to copy this DLL file and I need to put it within my modules directory, within my Apache installation directory. I need to put it in right over here. The next change which I need to do is I need to specify the dispatcher.ini file, or I need to specify the dispatcher configuration file. So you can copy the dispatcher.ini that is present over here and paste it within your conf directory. Now I'm going to quickly modify or do some basic changes so that I can get the dispatcher up and running at my end. We are going to look into more dispatcher level settings in the upcoming videos. Right now we are just going to do the bare minimum settings so that we can get dispatcher up and running. So I'm going to edit the dispatcher.ini file. The very first change that I will do is I'm going to specify a render over here. I can specify a host name and port number. Right now host name is set to localhost. If you want to point your dispatcher to a remote instance, this is where you will provide the IP, and this is where you will provide the port number. I will specify the port number as 4503, which happens to be the port number for my running publish instance. So this dispatcher.ini is meant to be used with my publish server. The next thing which I will do is I have got this filter section at line number 74, and it is right now set to deny. That is, all of my requests coming to my dispatcher would be denied by default. All of the requests that are coming into my Apache web server would be denied by default. If this seems too restrictive to you, you can set it to allow. With dispatcher, you can set request filtering by two different means. First is called as allow all, deny specific. That is, you allow each and every request and then you deny specific request. This is the setting that you might want to do on your author server that is within your company's firewall. The second approach is deny all and allow specific. This particular setting is more restrictive in nature and is meant for your public facing publish server. Right now, for the sake of our testing, I have set the allow to star so that all of my requests should be allowed whether they are coming into my dispatcher server. So I've done this. The next setting which I need to do is I need to change the cache doc root. If you remember correctly, my cache doc root should exactly match the document root defined within my httpd.conf. So I can just copy the path that is specified within my document root and I can specify it within my cache doc root. Right now it points to a path that is specific to Linux or Unix operating system, and this path might not exist within my Windows machine. So I need to change it to C program file or whatever location the document root is pointing to. Rest of the settings you can ignore for now. We are going to talk more about them in the subsequent videos. At this point you can save your settings. Go ahead and restart your Apache web server. As soon as you will restart your Apache web server, your dispatcher module should come into picture and it should start working. Whenever you will restart your Apache web server, your dispatcher module should be loaded up. What you need to do is you need to go to the logs directory. You should see a dispatcher.log generated over here. If you open it up, you should see a message like this, that is dispatcher initialized. And now in order to do a quick test, you can just go to localhost 81. Simply hit refresh and this should direct you to your AEM publish instance and you should be able to see your Geometrix web page right over here. So we have seen how you can configure dispatcher and plug dispatcher module within your Apache web server. So now you should be able to explain how to install dispatcher on an Apache web server. Thank you very much for watching this video and have a great day.